Once Bitten here with a battle report. So this is a game I played recently, bringing out the beast herds again, this time facing a Daemon Legions list. This is the first time I've played demons in Ninth Age. I was actually really excited for it. The list I'm using is the same I used last time. Last game I played, I felt that I had the advantage in the list building and just absolutely threw the game away. So I want to give this list another chance. I kind of like it. There are some unique challenges posed by the demon list I'm facing, and I will talk about that as we get there. So let's go with his list. Starting on his right flank, he's got a unit of 11 slaughterers. They've got full command. They've got the minor aspect, but basically devastating charge. And then because they're marked corn, his whole army is marked corn. That means he gets +1 strength in the first round of combat. So these guys get an extra attack and an extra strength first round of combat if they charge. I'm not particularly worried about this unit because it's just such a small model count. There's 11 of them. Not really not worried about them. Then he's got a Demon Prince, Mark of Wrath. So he's got the +1 strength the first round of combat. Let's see, MR3's defensive. I'm not really worried about that because my magic's not going to hurt him anyway. He gets to reroll ones to hit. Okay. Fly and 8. And I gotta tell you, one thing I love, a rules change that I love in Ninth Age is that fly is not the same distance for everybody. So fly 8, it's still really useful. You can hop around things, you can march 16 inches, but there's still a difference. It's not 20, and I like that a lot. This guy, I am worried about him, and I'll talk a little bit about that more in just a minute. Got another unit of slaughters. This time there's 30 of them. Full command. This one he gave an upgrade where they have a 5-up armor save. They also, of course, have devastating charge +1 attack if they charge. They get +1 strength first round of combat, and he made him a veteran unit, which means they can bring a magic standard. He took the +1 movement banner, so they're pretty fast moving. He's got a battle standard bearer in with them. The guy actually isn't all that great. He's okay. Nothing that I'm particularly worried about. He's got a unit of Furies. Then he has a Scourge of Wrath, the old, very close to what used to be called a Bloodthirster in the game system. This is a general. He's got a fair amount of points in defense. He's got a 5-up armor, a 5-up ward, and a 4-up regen, and MR2. So again, I'm not relying on my magic to hurt things, so that doesn't affect me, but I think that's a pretty smart build for him. He also has the Black Orb, which means that a Path of Light wizard is -2 on their castings. I don't usually take stuff like that because I don't like building my armies specifically against another army, but I think if you're demons and you're really worried about banishment or the equivalent, I guess it makes sense. This guy, of course, because he has this Mark of Wrath, is going to be +1 strength on the first round of combat, and that's pretty brutal. That makes him strength 7. That scares me. He has multi-wounds too, which really scares me. Of course, +1 attack. So this is what I'm concerned about, and this is what my list is not designed to handle, is what do you do with these two really tough characters? I've got a Beast Lord on my list. He's pretty tough, but I don't think he's this tough. I don't think he stands up to the Scourge of Wrath. I think he could stand up to the Demon Prince. My concern is that even though they can't fly 20, I think they're both fly 8. It's enough mobility that he can combo charge, and if he gets both of these guys into a unit, especially with one of these, one of these rank and file units, that's going to cause me some problems. So a little bit worried about that. Sorry, I went the wrong direction. All right, then he's got a Demon Engine with the Hellish Bombard. Got a Stone Thrower here. This thing, what I was rolling my eyes at is he's toughness 7. And a 5-up ward. Man, I don't know how many points that thing is, but it better be a lot. And a Stone Thrower. He's got Furies, and then he has 2 units of ambushing. What are they called? Hellhounds, who also, by the way, have devastating charge. Yeah, and by the way, his Furies don't seem like that much, but those bad boys are strength 4, and because he marked them with the with Wrath, they're strength 5 on the first round of combat. That's a big deal because against my giants, I'm toughness 5. Those guys look small, but they're wounded on 4s. So in my far right corner, if you look at the very bottom, I've got a spellcaster. He's level 1, Path of Shadows. He took basically what used to be known as miasma. He's got a spell scroll. My opponent, of course, has no magic, so that doesn't matter. I've got a Jabberwock with no upgrades on the right. I've got a Razor Tusk being proxied by a Dragon Ogre. Unit of 9 Minotaurs, full command, but other than that, well, full command and a totem. They have the speed totem. I like these guys having the threat of plus D6 to charge and plus 3 initiative. But I didn't give them any weapons upgrades or anything like that. I've got a Beast Giant up there. I did not pay for the ambushing upgrade. And I'm playing him sober, which means he can Vanguard. Then I've got my huge unit of 50 Wild Horns. No upgrade. I mean, they have a totem. These guys have the totem of +1 attack and armor piercing 2. And full command. Other than that, I did not give them a weapons upgrade. I would like to. I'd love it for them to have extra hand weapon for the +1 initiative and +1 attack. My concern with it is when you take 50, you're just paying so many points for that. I've got 3 characters attached to that unit. If you see the kind of a blue circle in the top right of that unit, I've got my Battle Standard Bearer. He's got a 3-up armor save, strikes at initiative 0, and he's got the Beast Banner. So the whole unit has +1 strength, and he also has +1 strength. So got that going for me. I've got my Beast Lord. He's 2-up rerollable armor save, and then he's got the sword that allows him to reroll wounds in close combat, and you have to re-roll your ward save, so that's actually pretty sweet against these demons. And then on the left, I've got that Centaur character hero level. I mainly took him because he has a 40-point item that allows him to shoot like a bolt thrower. This guy is a mobile bolt thrower, so he has a totem and a bolt thrower, and I like the idea of him just kind of dancing around, using those items. I started him out attached to this unit because why not? Then I've got a Gortak, another Razor Tusk, another Giant who will be Vanguarding, and a Chariot. Hills block line of sight, by the way. I'm going to go back one. See how hills block line of sight. So that hill actually is kind of important in terms of who can see whom. I also have a Briar Beast, which will ambush out of any forest on the table. I've got 3 units of Mongrels. One's a 20-man unit with spears. The other 2 10-man units, just basic hand weapon shield. They all have a banner. I bring these things just so they can secure objectives. So the objectives in this game are, if you get a scoring unit in your opponent's deployment zone, if you have them there at the end of the game, you get 500 points. So you get 20% of the base points here. So 500 points is pretty substantial. So that's what those guys are for. This is Vanguard. So the hill on the left, really he can't see my Giant. So either he has to bring something around to the left of that hill, in which case my Chariot can charge it. Or at some point, if he wants to charge my troops, he's got to bring something out in front of the hill, and if I want to, he can charge them first. And you set up for countercharge. I really, really like his position. My Giant on the right, it looks like I'm being really aggressive there. My plan actually is to kind of bounce him around, preferably behind my opponent. So we'll see if that works, if he allows me to get out of their line of sight to do something like that. But that's kind of the plan for him. So we get a Demon's turn 1. He rushes forward like that. And he goes magic. He doesn't have any magic. Goes to the shooting phase, and his the guy with his what's it called? The Demon Engine with the Hellish Bombard upgrade throws a rock, lands on this guy's head, scores a direct hit, kills him, boom, dead. That's the only thing I had on the table that could weaken his 2 monsters really. Before we got to combat. Oh, I'm sorry. One thing I should add, by the way, when I talk about my Beast Lord, I forget he has the item. It's called the Eye of Dominance, that if you're a monster or anything kind of like it, in combat you only hit him on 6s. So it sounds like he would be a fantastic matchup against either of those 2 big guys my opponent has. And my opponent's worried about it. My concern is, yeah, they're not going to hurt me too much through swinging. And they're making their attacks in close combat, but they're going to thunderstomp me to death. So we're both worried about getting into matchups with that. We go to Beast Herds turn 1. I'm kind of repositioning my troops and trying to make sure that if one gets charged, the other unit can countercharge. I'm trying to form just a big enveloping half circle. So if you look at the left, my Giant goes around the hill. I'm out of line of sight of everything, and I think he's just a big thorn in my opponent's side, which I like. On the left, the chariot, ideally I want to face towards the middle of the table, but right now he's facing backwards because I know my opponent has 2 ambushing units and I don't want them just to be able to come on the board. Down here, my Razor Tusk is turned facing my board edge as well. I've backed up the other troops. I've joined my spellcaster to the big horde of wild horns. Look on the right, I was able to get out of line of sight with my giant. And all 3 of my ambushing units came on. I put the 2 small units in the corners and put my bigger unit in the top middle. I have them there because they can sit there and just secure an objective, or they can threaten a counter charge, a rear charge against that small unit. And so I like my options there. Here on the right, I've got my my Briar Beast woke up in those woods, so it can get an easy charge if he brings his Hellhounds behind me. And then my Jabberwock and my Razor Gore are also turned around. Again, I just don't want them plopping those units right down behind me. And I wasn't planning on charging next turn anyway, so I'm actually very comfortable with what they're doing. And I really hope that my opponent is able to ambush next turn, because I don't want to have to wait for the damn ambush thing to come on. Here's a picture of the top left. We go to Demon's turn 2. He's just advancing his army in a line, and he takes both units of Furies and redirects my Giants. When he did it, I thought that it was a little bit unnecessary, maybe. But I'm thinking that's probably a really good move, because those guys are strength 5 the first round of combat. If I charge in, they're likely to do a wound or 2 to my Giant, to both of them. And my Giant on the right could have charged his smaller rank and file unit and in the flank and just kind of held them there forever and eventually won. And my one on the left could have charged his Demon Engine, and I don't know what would happen. I think the Demon Engine could win that, but the Giants are so wonky, you never know. He had to make a decision about where to bring on his Hellhounds. He decided he didn't want them to bring it on behind my lines to where they automatically got charged, in many cases double charged. So he brought this unit in behind. He's trying to keep me from getting those 500 points. And he has a decent chance of doing it with 2 of the 3 units, but I have 3 units. The third one's going to be tough to get to. So there's that. We go to Beast Herds turn 2. These are fairly fast because my opponent has no magic and he has one thing to shoot. It doesn't take too long. So in my turn, well, the big news is I tried to charge the Gortak into his Demon Engine. In hindsight, I don't know if it's a good thing or not that I failed, but I failed it. And so then I had to move Razor Tusk up there to redirect. I charged both Giants into his Furies just to clear out the chaff. I moved my Jabberwock on the right-hand side up out of his line of sight just to be a pain. He's not good going in solo, but he's pretty good at adding a combination charge. Here's this. I like the idea of going in there. I'm strength 6, he's toughness 7. I'm frenzied. I think this guy. I think I could have done a couple wounds to him, but that guy had a decent chance of doing some wounds back, and almost certainly would have stuck. And then I think my opponent could have easily countercharged. So I think it may be just as well that I failed it. That's what I'm thinking at the time. After combat, this Giant takes a wound, but stomps to death all the Furies. This Giant, I don't remember if he took a wound or not, but there's 1 Fury still around. Doesn't matter. As long as I kill it on my opponent's turn, that's fine with me. All right, so we go to Demon's turn 3. Charges the Demon Engine into the Razor Tusk. That's just easy points. He charges his Scourge of Wrath into my Gortak. That's bad. I think he just wipes the earth with that thing. My hope is he just leaves 1 wound left on me so I can throw all my attacks back and do some wounds, just weaken him a little bit. I'd be very happy with that. The problem is this guy's multi-wound 2, and that makes all the difference in the world. And he charges his both of his units of Hellhounds into my Mongrel units, and then he takes his... I don't know if I have another picture of it close up. Look at the top right. He takes his Demon Prince and flies him away from my lines to deal with that Giant. I thought that was very interesting. Basically, if that guy charges my Giant, I think he wins. But the thing is, you never know with the Giants. They can hold you up for a little bit. Like if he charges me and I survive the attacks, then I might do that thing where you can't attack next time. We've had that happen before if you watch my battle reports. Yeah, so there's that. I think his his BSB's unit, I lowered its movement. That's why it's not moving up as aggressively as he otherwise might have. Yeah, here's the top left. Those guys are just going to get, my mongrel's going to get destroyed. This, I think I'm going to get destroyed, but you never know. We go to combat. The key here is that I passed my fear test on leadership. These guys are 6 or 7, I forget, but it's pretty low. They passed their leadership and they passed their primal fury, and that was huge. You can see my opponent did 6 wounds. I mean, it's, you know, he did a fair number of wounds, but I did 3 wounds back. And of course, I had a banner and I had a rank. So I think I had 5. He had a charge and 6. I think he won, and I was steadfast, and I stuck. So I passed fear, primal fury, and then I passed my steadfast test. That's crazy. They passed those 3 leadership tests in a row. So now that combat's interesting. Here on the left, it was not interesting. He just killed those guys easily. I only did 2 wounds to my Razor Tusk. I broke. He decided to reform. He did not want my giant. If he pursued him, I was going to get a charge on him, certainly with a chariot, maybe the chariot and a giant. He decided he didn't want that. And yeah, multi-wounds 2 did it. This guy's off the board. I just took a picture and then I lie him down so I don't knock him over. We go to Beast Herds turn 3. So this is the turn of failed charges. I felt like I was playing my old Bretonnian army back in 8th edition. So overall the board looks like this. Minotaurs, they had the totem up where they got plus d6 to their charge, and they failed it. They did not need. I mean, it's a good distance, but yeah, I thought with the extra d6 they would have it, but they failed it. So they failed that. The Jabberwock was supposed to charge the flank of that unit, but he failed the charge, which because the Minotaurs failed, I'm glad he failed. Let's see, this Beast Giant killed the remaining Fury, then I could reform, and then I charged these guys in the flank. I know that his Demon Prince is going to get to charge me. He's probably going to kill me, but if I charge the Demon Prince, I think he would just kill me right off the bat. So I'm hoping to do a lot of damage here, take some with me as I go down. And then this giant failed the charge. I about screamed with this one. He was not that far away, darn it. Chariot and giant into this demon engine, and I think I like my odds. Do a few wounds to him, win, you know, hopefully pop him through combat res. And no. Nope. So after combat, yeah, I only took 1 wound to my chariot. I think I did a couple wounds to him, and at the end of the day, we all stick around. Here on the right, yeah, this was fairly lackluster performance. These guys reform against my giant, and of course they're sticking around. And the mongrels could not turn. They could stand against 5, but they couldn't stand against 3. They could stand against 5 and a charge. The difference was I failed fear and primal fury, and I failed my my steadfast at the end. So I passed all 3, and then I failed all 3. We go to Demon's turn 4. So, moment of truth. He brings his bigger, what are they called again? Slaughter unit. His bigger slaughter unit with his battle standard bearer into the front of my big horde of wild horns with my general and my BSB. I also have my spellcaster, but he was positioned. He's not in combat. They have a totem up. If you see that marker on them, basically they're -1. They're distracting. -1 to hit in close combat. And they have an extra armor save, but that's not going to matter because these guys are too high of strength. I'm actually just curious about this because it doesn't. I'm not fearing it. I would really fear it if he had one of his, like his Scourge of Wrath or his Demon Prince in with him. But his Scourge of Wrath was off the table, so he's not in combat. He just came back on the table. So yeah, I don't know who's going to win it, but I'm certainly. I don't think I'm going to go anywhere. Yeah, so it looks like that. I make way with my Beast Lord to go over there, put him in base contact with his Battle Standard Bearer, who's on the corner, and we end up getting in a challenge. I don't know if I can kill him, but I'm not worried about dying. His Demon Prince charges the rear of my Giant. I think that's a foregone conclusion. Giant's going to die. This one, the Demon Engine, I'm kind of surprised. He is so hard to wound. But he only has like 4 attacks, and so if he just misses rolls to hit, that's all it really takes. So I think I'd take a couple wounds, but we all stick around over here. After combat, the giant's dead. And yeah, we're all sticking around here. He just kind of fluffed everything. And then after combat here, my Beast Lord goes in, gets in a challenge with his Battle Standing Bear, and I just slap him silly. Just go back to the void. His guys swing. They do some wounds. Yeah, I mean it's respectable. My guys swing back. They we're strength 4, re-rolling to hit, and just kind of do enough wounds that I think I win. And I think after I win, he only loses a couple more models, so that wasn't devastating for him. What's devastating for him is that was his turn. So on my turn, the Minotaurs are going to charge in his flank, and those guys can wreck some face. So we go to Beast Heart's turn 4, the Minotaurs in the flank. I'm just giddy at this point. I don't care who wins or loses the game. I just love that these Minotaurs get a flank charge and can do some damage. The Jabberwock is supposed to charge the rear of that unit, and he fails the damn charge again. That thing does not want to get into combat. Darn it. The giant on the left decides he finally wants to make it. And, there we go. Oh, it just makes me happy. And there's that freaking coward. That guy's like, oops, I tripped. Oops, couldn't make it into combat. Giants are wonky. I don't know if this is good or bad for me. I mean, yeah, we'll see. So after combat, it looks like that. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I can't see the wound counter. I think I did another wound or two to this guy, but in the end, we're all sticking around. And those guys didn't stick around a bit. I think after I killed everything before he had to roll, I think he was down to like 2 models. I mean, oh my gosh. Yeah, so that happened. At the end of it, my choice was I can do a pivot with my big unit, or I had to overrun with my frenzied Minotaurs. And I did, both positions were just super awkward, so I decided to overrun with Minotaurs first, which means I couldn't pivot with my unit, and they're just standing right where they are. I'm worried about that Scourge of Wrath charging my large unit. But my opponent's worried about it too. He's worried about combat res. I'm worried about that guy just killing my Beast Lord. And I just really hesitate to refuse a challenge, or I don't know. I'm a little bit nervous about it. I shouldn't have been, but regardless, whatever. I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm not worried about him charging the Minotaurs, because granted, multi-wounds too, he's going to do a bunch, but I'm just going to have a bunch of attacks going back at him at high enough strength that he should be worried about these guys killing him. All right, we go to Demon's turn 5. Really not a whole lot else to do. As Demon Prince charges the rear of my Jabberwock, which he deserves. I hope he dies, my guy. His Scourge of Wrath, he decides he doesn't want to charge either of those units, so he flies up somewhere where he feels he is safe. Now these Hellhounds declare a charge in the flank of the giant. These guys need an 11 to get there, and he gets it. I'm not really that concerned about it, because I'm like, if nothing else, I get Thunderstomp. I mean, unless those guys get pretty lucky, I'm gonna get a lot of wounds. The problem is they're +1 strength on the turn they charge. Darn it! So they're I keep forgetting that. So it actually makes them pretty lethal against this toughness 5 giant. There's that. I hope that Demon Prince just does mean, nasty things in the rear of that Jabberwock. That guy made me so mad. After combat, oh my gosh, this is the second time in the game I want to throw something. So he charges in. I think he does, I don't know, he does a wound or two to the giant. Nothing too big. The giant does his thing. You can see I've killed a dog. I think, I just kind of, my attacks didn't do anything. My Thunderstomp does 1 wound. I lose. Chariot breaks from combat. I'm like, you know what, that's to be expected. I'm okay with that. My giant is stubborn 10, and I fail it. And not only does he fail it, but then he gets run down. Like I literally rolled like a 3. You gotta be kidding me. And the Demon Prince is looking satisfied and nasty over there. Jabberwock is dead. We go to Beast Herd's turn 5. So this is where things ended up working out. So the Minotaurs could see, they could see that Demon Engine easily. They were not too far away. I needed, just a little less than average roll to make it. So the Minotaurs charge the Demon Engine, and boom, that puts them out of the way. So now my horde of Wild Horns can charge the flank of the Scourge of Wrath. And Very excited about that. So this I'm really excited about. I've got that guy, and all I have to do when I'm done is overrun and roll anything. Roll like a 5 or a 6, and I'm going to charge the hellhounds and get those points too. Very excited about that. This, what I couldn't decide was, and in hindsight, I don't know what my deal is. What I just, in my mind, my choice was getting a challenge with my Beast Lord, or say screw it, refuse the challenge, and just throw a bunch of Strength 4 attacks at him. The Strength 4 attacks option is just dumb. The Beast Lord option, this guy only hits me on 6s. I'm going to have, and I've got a totem up, by the way. I get a totem up that gives me +1 attack and armor piercing 2. So my Beast Lord has 5 attacks, re-rolling to hit, re-rolling to wound, and you have to re-roll your ward saves. I'm going to do 4 or 5 wounds to this guy, but he has 6 wounds, I think. So my thinking is, I can't kill him. I can put a hurt on him, and if I do 4 or 5 wounds to him, with combat res, he's in a lot of trouble. My concern is, the only defense I have is a 2-up rerollable armor save. He has strength 7. That's a 4 modifier. It means I have a 6-up rerollable armor save, and then he can thunderstomp me, because I'm not worried about his attacks. He's only hit me on 6s. And if he thunderstomps me, then I'm at only a 5-up rerollable armor save, and I'm just really nervous about my ability to survive. Okay. This guy who started off my left-hand corner is now going up. I'm trying to save my unit of mongrels in the far top right corner. Those guys are giving me 500 points right now, and so he's turned the small unit around to go after them and probably would have gotten there. But I used this guy's compulsory move to charge them in the flank. Had that not worked, I would have used my Razor Gore to redirect them, and I would have saved those points regardless. So the Minotaurs charge the rear of the Demon Engine. I'm strength 5. That bad boy's toughness 7. I still need 6s to wound. And these guys rolled like, I think they rolled like 4 6s. They blew through him. Then I overrun, and I roll 1 less than I needed to hit the Flesh Hounds. Like I needed a 5 and I rolled a 4, or I needed a 6 and rolled a 5, whatever it was. It was a little bit disappointing not getting the Flesh Hounds, but it was very, very, very satisfying chopping through the Demon Engine. Then we go to the other combat, and here's what happens. I decided to get in a challenge with my Beast Sword against his. He's only hit me on 6s, and he rolls like 2 or 3 6s to hit, which really sucks, because those are the ones I'm only on a 6-up rerollable armor save, and he sneaks 1 through. But the problem is, it's multi-wounds too. So my 3-wound Beast Lord takes 2 wounds because one of them snuck through. Darn it. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Then I do my attacks on him, and I do all but 1 wound. I mean, he does his best, man. He just throws some hurt on him. The guy's sitting there on 1 wound left. He thunderstomps me, and he sneaks a wound through and kills my Beast Lord. Then I just pop him through combat res. What I should have done, what any sane person would do, is just get a challenge with your champion. That's all you need. He with all his attacks, let's say he does 4 wounds to the champion. I still have all that combat res. I'm still probably going to pop him. If I don't pop him, I could still get some wounds done to him. Then the next round of combat, I can get in a fight with my Beast Lord and him, and kill him just through attacks, and not have to worry about the Thunderstomp. Anyway, who knows what would happen. My Beast Lord's dead. His general's dead. His Demon Prince wants nothing to do with it, so he's dancing around. These guys charge my chariot. I flee. I roll like a freaking 4, so he catches him. So he gets the points, and he's just out of line of sight of my Minotaurs. The other 2 hounds wheel completely around, get out of line of sight of the Minotaurs. These guys are just poking at each other. I can't hurt him. He can't hurt me. We go to Beast Herds turn 6. There's really nothing to do. Minotaurs have nothing to charge. My big horde has nothing they can charge. These guys are still just kind of poking back and forth, and the game ends like that. So it ended up being a pretty good victory for the Beast Herds. I lost a lot of points. Lost, both my giants. I think I lost all 4 of my monsters. So 625 points right there. But that 500 points from the objectives kind of evens that out. And yeah, so it ended like that. I thought it was a blast of a game. My opponent didn't like the performance of his slaughterers, and I can't disagree with him. I'm not saying they're mispriced or anything else. I'm saying from this one game, 12 points each didn't seem justifiable based on what they were able to do. So maybe they just need to be constructed in the list differently. I don't know, but I wasn't worried about him when I saw the table, and I still wasn't worried about it at the end. I think what the demons did have on the table that was good were the two big baddies. Those guys do what they do. I think my opponent would have been a lot better off, instead of retreating with his demon prince, bum rushing me with both of those Lord level monsters and his unit with his BSB. That would have caused me some serious problems. So I think he lost this game for the same reason I lost my previous game, and that is, the person who was able to do the combo charges was the one who ended up winning the game, which is probably how it should be anyway. Anyway, that's it here. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has a variety of functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like or comment on the video, you can favorite it, you can share it, and of course you can subscribe to the channel. And I encourage you to do any or all of those things as a way of interacting between viewer and producer. As always, I appreciate your patronage on the channel and wish you all the best.